Hey guys. So, anxiety is normal, but it becomes abnormal when it controls your life. So, when you go out, you start to overheat, you feel really weird, and you feel uneasy, and you go into crowded places, or you get into a busy bus or a train, and your panic starts to rise inside you. And what do? You start avoiding going out, you start avoiding going to these places. Every time you think about going out, you start to feel anxious. The thing about anxiety, it does help us meet our deadlines. So it's part of our internal body mechanisms to help us get on with our day. The trouble is when it gets out of control and it goes to extremes, it affects our way of life, doesn't it? When we have these anxiety attacks, the rational part of our brain shuts down and we enter into survival mode. It's our body's response to danger. So it's a primitive brain that is working and it's trained to go into flight or fight response. You've heard about this, everybody's heard about this. But the thing is, our primitive brain, although it's become very bright and intellectual, it's not changed a lot in its format. So, we have become obviously more intelligent and intellectual and able to learn and things, but the primitive side of our brain still reacts when things worry it. And because we live in such a busy world, our anxiety sometimes doesn't get time to get over the first thing before something else triggers it. And so, if this keeps happening, it builds up into anxiety disorders. In this day and age, it's not about running away from the leopard that's chasing you or whatever. It's things like, we go into work and we've got to talk to our boss and we're really worried about that. Or we've got to go into a meeting and talk to people. Or we're in a crush on the bus and the anxiety builds up. Our body reacts. And suddenly you can't breathe, you can't process what people are saying, you can't even have a normal conversation. When we go to these places, like maybe if you sat down with your boss or there's a few people in a room and we're all having a conversation and your body seized up, you're in panic mode, we don't know what to say. And really what we want to do is to escape from that room as soon as possible. So you freeze, you're anxious, your heart is beating so fast, and then it turns into a panic attack. Panic attacks go with continued anxiety. So we first get anxious and that builds up and that builds up. And it becomes scary because in your head you think you're going to die, you're going to have a stroke, you're going to suffocate. Or worse still, you're going to pass out. Oh my God, what happens if you pass out? Just doesn't bear thinking about. So at this time, your subconscious mind is recording what you're feeling, it's recording your thoughts, and it's sort of egging the panic attack on. Yeah, I can see you're worried, I can see you're anxious. Go on, pass out. It's just wrong. So, anxiety is the body's response to danger. In the caveman days, the primitive brain was trained to go into fight or flight, depending on how big the T-Rex was at the time. T-Rex and caveman. Somehow, I don't think I got that right, but there we go. It's just a part of the story. I know they don't go together. Please don't send comments that they weren't part of the same era. I know. It's just part of a comment. Part of a nice bit of presentation for you to give you a bit of a laugh. But then once they've fought off whatever they're fighting, their anxiety would decrease. And that's because their anxiety, or this form of fighting or flighting, running away, wasn't happening every 2 minutes as it is in our life now. So they had time to get over it and go home and tug their wife out by the hair and go and find food or whatever it is they did. In our busy, busy world, our anxiety sometimes just doesn't have time to calm down. And then something else triggers it, and so it builds up, and it builds up into an anxiety disorder. See, one of today's drawbacks is the amount of stuff we've got going on in our technological world. So we've got computers and mobile phones and laptops all happening. Plus, there's noise going on all the time. So if you have your window open, there's always noise from outside, from drilling or machinery. There's lights that are on all the time, day and night, from various things, not particularly outside, but in the daytime, inside, there's always lights on. Outside at night, there's always lights on. You never get real darkness, and there's always motorways and traffic. So we really don't get time to shut down properly. When in the old days, when it got dark, you could look up in the sky and see the stars. I don't know the last time I actually looked up in the sky and saw stars and thought, oh my gosh, look at all those stars. But I remember doing that a long, long time ago when I was a little girl. I remember being able to look up and look at the stars. But now there's so many lights everywhere and so much sound. We just don't do things like that anymore. There is no stillness in our life anymore, even when we go to sleep. You go to bed and you get your window open because it's hot. You've got noise going on outside. You've got lights on outside. You've got people shouting and screaming or being drunk or whatever. You've got cars going past. There is no stillness. So we need to find strategies to bring in some mindfulness. I know I really hate that word now as well. It's everywhere. But it's a question of just sitting down and finding 15 minutes to have absolute quiet. If we can do this, we'll actually calm our brain down and it will be so much happier. You need to find these skills. I mean, look on YouTube, look at people who do mindfulness. There are podcasts about it. And I know that's all part of the technology that I'm saying that we should be skipping, but you need to set up a routine of just finding some quiet somewhere, even if it means sitting on your sofa, on your bed somewhere with some music on that you can just listen to, calm down. If you can feel that you're in control again, then you will start to lose these anxious feelings. So first of all, you need to realize that you've got anxiety and panic attacks. So you need to put it in the spotlight. And it's time to stop thinking about this and actually putting things into action. So we need to start nipping it into the bud by doing techniques that you have. So follow strategies that will help. And don't tell your brain to shut up, relax, or whatever, because it won't listen to you. You actually have to do the action to put your body and the sympathetic nervous system back under control so that your reacting primitive brain, when it thinks that you're taking a risk and it starts to get all of a flutter, you will have strategies to calm that down, get it under control, and cope with the situation. And so you'll start coming through feeling so much better, thinking, hey, I've done it, I've controlled it. You need action, not thoughts. So like I say, if you've got any health issues like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart problems, first of all, go and see your doctor and have a checkup first. But don't go to them and ask them for pills to help your anxiety, because that's just more medication that you're going to be stuck on. You're going to be changing your medication constantly. It's not going to help in the long run. And it won't help you in the end to fight and get yourself back to being a normal person who can go out without having anxiety attacks. So when you go to see your doctor, they often see anxiety or panic attacks as a psychological problem, a psychological event. And what they do is they think is probably the lack of serotonin, which I've talked about on other videos. And that's why they give you the pills such as Prozac to help with the serotonin control. Now, this may help at the time, and it may bring your anxiety down. But the thing is once you get into medication, after a while they stop working, and then you've got to try something else, and you just go into the cycle of taking drugs. So that's why many people go from one antidepressant to the other, because they're not working. And so what they're not doing is they're getting to the root cause. So you need to look deeper, and we need to find strategies. So how do you sort out your serotonin levels yourself? Well, it all comes down to having good bacteria in your gut. Now, the bacteria helps to produce serotonin, and that sends it to your brain, and that's a feel-good pleasure hormone. So when you're taking medication for something like diabetes or candida, this can often affect your gut, and it can hurt your gut bacteria. So you want to start looking at eating well, putting good food that helps your gut bacteria improve. And I've got other videos about what to eat to give yourself a healthy gut bacteria. So here are your strategies, and your first strategy is to learn how to slow your breathing down when you're about to have an anxiety attack. So get rid of that fast breathing. Breathe in through your nose, hold for a second, breathe out through your mouth as far as you can, right into the belly. Hold. Breathe out. Do that slowly for a few minutes, just to get a nice calming feeling. When you first start getting the symptoms such as laboured breathing, heightened heartbeat and sweating, recognise the symptoms by being in the moment. When you think it's about to get out of control, start the deep breathing technique, which will slow you down and bring you down to calmness. Also, get your brain to rethink its negative thoughts into positive thoughts. So if you're standing there and you're thinking, oh my God, I can't do it. Think to yourself, yeah, I can do it. It's not an issue. Just go on and do it. No problem. Start to control your thoughts. Really important that. This is your second strategy. You need to get hold of your thoughts. You need to step back and think about what your primitive brain is trying to do, and you've got to stop it and calm it. By thinking about nice things and doing the breathing, you'll calm down. Give it a try now. Close your eyes and think about something that's your favourite. Maybe someone you love, some music you love, a favourite recipe, anything that will make your brain smile. So challenge negative thoughts and replace them with positive thoughts. Your third strategy is to put your fears down into a journal, into words, and evaluate. This is such an important thing to do. Honestly, everybody has journals these days, and they really help. So get a journal, write in it, write down when the anxiety started, what you think you might have caused it, and what strategies you could use, or what strategies you have used if you've been through it and you're writing down what's happened and what you went through and how you dealt with it. So if you write all these things down and you write down what worked, then and you read them again and again, then you will remember how to calm yourself down when these things start happening. The fourth strategy is to learn. The more you know about anxiety, the more you can get it under control. So there are loads of books and podcasts, and there's even YouTube, as we well know. There are so many people who have such a lot of knowledge about specific things like anxiety and panic attacks. Dig them out, find them out, listen to them. I mean, look at me, here you are listening to me. Which reminds me, now that you've got this far, please can you give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to. Thank you. Your fifth strategy is look after your health. Now, seriously, so important again. So you need to eat well, sleep well, and exercise. Those are the three main things you need to do. Eating well helps your gut, build serotonin, build your gut health up. Really important to eat well. Sleep well You need to be able to shut yourself off from the noise and the sound and be able to have a good night's sleep. And exercise. I'm not talking about going down the gym. Seriously, I'm not. Everybody should be able to do some of this in the morning or when you've got a minute free in your day. It's just to get some oxygen in your blood, get things moving. So once you've got oxygen in your blood, it's going to move around. It's going to move around your body and in your head, and everything's going to start. It's like oiling some wheels. It really is. Once you get oxygen moving around, things start to happen to make you feel so much better. Don't smoke. Don't take drugs. Don't drink a lot of alcohol. I know I sound like your mum, but it's just really true. All of these things affect your body. I mean, alcohol, I know it makes you feel good for 1 minute, but then you get the downward spiral of depression. Taking recreational drugs, again, you feel good in the moment, but it's the after effects. It's what you feel after, and you feel lousy. You think, God, I've got to go through another day of work, and you get the depressive feelings again. They just don't help. So when we rest or take time away from the situation, we calm down and our brain can start to cope again. Halt is for if you're hungry, if you're angry, if you're lonely, and if you're tired. Then pause, take time out, breathe, and write up your thoughts and feelings. Really helps. Look for a journal that's got a really pretty colour, or if you're a male who's very macho, or a female that's very macho, then look for a journal with a cover that really makes you feel good. It's about making you feel good. When you look at that journal, you want to open it and write in it. So do that. If you don't look after yourself, sleep well, eat well, and keep physically fit, get out in the sun if you can, your body will suffer. One huge thing these days is we work so much. We have far less hours in the day to look after our bodies. And we need to find the time to do this. I know it's your body. You take it around with you. You take it to work. You take it home. You take it to sleep. But it needs caring. It needs to be cared for. It's got so many things inside it that make us work. And we've forgotten this. We're just in survival mode all the time. You need to be proactive and not reactive. We need to rest, take time away from the situation, calm down, and just let our brain and our body get itself back together. You'd be surprised how much extra energy and vitality and information that you can keep in your head when your body is coping well. And that's another thing we forget. We don't remember that we can find other strategies and other ways of moving out of the situation. We just live with it, and then we'll die with it, and then we won't have got anywhere. So start thinking about what you want out of life, taking care of yourself, and things like anxiety and panic attacks will go. You'll feel more like going out and doing something, whatever that may be, volunteer work, working in a charity shop, something easy to start off with. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, how on earth, why did I suffer panic attacks? Because your body's feeling good. You've fed it well, you've slept well, you've looked after it. Just go out and do that. So here's your tick box for your daily strategies that you need to do to help you get back to being a normal living person with a good life. So breathe deep, challenge your thoughts from negative to positive, write in a journal, learn from podcasts, YouTube, wherever. Just spend 10 minutes a day reading or listening to something that helps you understand where you are or where you want to be. And of course, eat, sleep, and exercise well. Thank you for watching. Remember the thumbs up if you didn't remember it earlier. And please take a look at this video up here to look for more strategies about life issues. Thank you and take care.